As of July 2025, the Su-35 fighter program continues to face extensive scrutiny due to a combination of technical deficiencies, combat losses, and failed export deals. These issues have collectively weakened its perception as a reliable, next-generation air superiority platform. Despite being designed as a transitional aircraft between legacy fourth-generation platforms and modern stealth fighters, the Su-35 has not achieved the widespread operational or export success originally anticipated. The airframe itself is an advanced derivative of the Su-27, structurally enhanced with improved aerodynamics, thrust vectoring engines, and updated avionics. In theory, these upgrades were meant to make the Su-35 a superior dogfighter and a capable platform for long-range engagements. However, in practice, the aircraft's core systems have struggled to deliver consistent performance in high-threat environments. The radar, while powerful on paper, is still a passive electronically scanned array, PESA, not an active electronically scanned array, AESA, like those found in newer designs. This puts it at a disadvantage in terms of resistance to jamming, tracking multiple fast-moving targets, and overall situational awareness. Electronic warfare capabilities have also been a concern. Despite updates over previous generations, the aircraft's self-protection suite is less effective in modern electromagnetic warfare environments, especially those involving digital jamming and multi-layered signal disruption. The aircraft depends on off-board sensors, such as ground-based or airborne radar platforms, to operate effectively in beyond visual range combat, limiting its independence. This dependency becomes a major drawback in environments where such support is degraded or denied, reducing the aircraft's overall tactical effectiveness. In terms of propulsion, the Su-35's engines do provide high thrust and vectoring ability, contributing to its agility. However, these engines emit a high level of infrared and acoustic signatures. This makes the aircraft more detectable by modern infrared search and track systems and acoustic sensors. Combined with its large radar cross-section relative to newer designs, the Su-35 becomes more visible in both the infrared and radar spectrums, compromising survivability in modern air combat environments. One of the most prominent failed export deals involved Egypt. The country initially ordered 24 Su-35 fighters, and several units were even reportedly completed and painted for delivery. However, after conducting its own technical and strategic assessments, Egypt declined to accept the aircraft. Among the reasons cited were the jet's outdated radar architecture, electronic warfare limitations, integration incompatibility with existing systems, and long-term sustainability concerns. Political and diplomatic considerations also played a role, but the decision was primarily based on the aircraft's inability to meet the Air Force's modern combat and interoperability requirements. Ultimately, Egypt terminated the agreement without receiving any of the jets. A similar story unfolded in the Iranian context, where after years of speculation, a limited number of Su-35s were confirmed to have been delivered by late 2024. Despite expectations for a fleet of over 24 aircraft, only 2 units were actually transferred. These aircraft were quietly flown to air bases where they have undergone initial evaluation. However, their full integration into operational squadrons remains limited. One of the most significant obstacles has been the lack of a formal framework for local maintenance, parts production, or pilot training infrastructure. Without access to the aircraft's technical manuals, spare components, and ground support systems, effective long-term use of the aircraft remains uncertain. Furthermore, delays in additional deliveries have been attributed to the manufacturer's inability to meet commitments, as well as resource strain caused by ongoing military conflicts. This has slowed production lines and made it difficult to guarantee on-time delivery of high-complexity platforms like the Su-35. In response, the receiving country has reportedly begun considering alternative strategies, including building up domestic production capability or reducing reliance on the type altogether. The lack of a transparent and consistent delivery timeline has also raised questions about the reliability of the supply chain and long-term sustainment. Operational data from combat zones where the Su-35 has been deployed shows mixed results. While there have been some recorded kills in air-to-air engagements during the early stages of conflict, these have been overshadowed by subsequent losses and limitations. Multiple Su-35s have been lost due to surface-to-air missile strikes, and in some cases, friendly fire incidents. Combat flight profiles have shifted to lower altitudes in an attempt to avoid long-range air defense systems. However, this severely restricts the aircraft's ability to use its radar and targeting systems effectively, since those functions are designed for high-altitude operation. The shift in tactics has essentially nullified the Su-35's design strengths, such as long-range detection and beyond visual range targeting. Maintenance and logistics have emerged as ongoing challenges. The Su-35 requires a high level of technical support, including specialized ground equipment, well-trained technicians, and a steady flow of spare parts. In areas where logistics are strained, readiness rates have fallen significantly. The need for frequent inspections, complex part replacements, and engine maintenance cycles places a burden on operators who do not have a deeply established support ecosystem for Russian-origin platforms. Taken together, these issues have created a pattern of underperformance and underdelivery for the Su-35 program. While technically impressive in isolated specifications, such as thrust-to-weight ratio, maneuverability, and theoretical range, the platform has consistently failed to live up to expectations when judged across real-world operational metrics. Key factors such as survivability, systems integration, electronic warfare resilience, maintenance autonomy, and logistics sustainability have all proven to be critical gaps. As a result, confidence in the aircraft as a strategic asset has declined. Nations that previously showed interest are either postponing their procurement decisions, seeking alternative options, or reevaluating their defense procurement strategies entirely. The aircraft continues to be fielded by its original operator and remains in production, but its future as a competitive international export product is increasingly in doubt. The lack of meaningful updates to core systems, combined with a pattern of limited transparency and delivery uncertainty, has eroded trust in its long-term viability. Unless substantial upgrades or program overhauls are introduced, the Su-35 is likely to remain a limited-use platform with constrained relevance in future high-intensity or networked combat environments.